This is Dina, welcome to the Den. Well, as you may or may not remember, last year I covered Silent Hill 4, and that game marks the end of an era. The first 4 Silent Hill games were made by a development group within Konami Computer Entertainment Tokyo, which was unofficially called Team Silent. Keiichiro Toyama directed the first game. Masahashi Tsuboyama directed Silent Hill 2 and was the art director of Silent Hill 4. Kazuhide Nakazawa directed Silent Hill 3. Suguru Mirakoshi was the drama director of Silent Hill 2 and director and scenario writer of Silent Hill 4. Hiroyuki Iwaku was the series writer of the first through the third games. Masuhiro Ito was the art director of Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3. Gozo Kitao was the executive producer of the first game through the third game. Akihito Amamura was the producer of Silent Hill 2 and sub-producer of Silent Hill 4. Takayoshi Sato was the CGI creator for the first and second games. Last but not least, Akira Yamaoka was the series, sound producer, and director of Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 4. Team Silent consisted of staff members that had failed at other projects and originally intended to leave the company before the first Silent Hill game turned out to be a success. After leaving Konami, many of those people ended up working on a series of games called Siren that I have not played for some silly reason. But the general consensus seems to be that if you liked Silent Hill, you'll like Siren. After Silent Hill 4, Konami decided they wanted the games to have a different feel, so Team Silent was let go, and they started outsourcing to Western developers. Climax, who made Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill Shattered Memories, and Double Helix, who made Silent Hill Homecoming. These are the games I'll be talking about this time around. Rather than talking about different features of a game in each installment, I'm going to devote each installment to a game. I honestly wasn't even going to cover these games, since I normally talk about games and movies that have some sort of nostalgic value to me, and these games aren't old enough for that. Also, I'm not really a fan of the first two, and I already did a Let's Play of the third, but I got a lot of requests to talk about these games. A lot of people want to know what I think of them. I don't normally take requests for the Game Den. It's usually gotta be a game that I've been into for a long time, but I decided to make an exception only because
this is Silent Hill.
I know I've harped on this a lot, but now that I'm talking about these games specifically, I gotta address it directly. Look on the bright side, it'll probably be the last time I bring it up. Hopefully. Now, the first 4 games did reference each other, obviously, but they were really smart about it. Silent Hill 2 had almost nothing to do with Silent Hill 1 other than taking place in the same town, albeit a different part of it. Silent Hill 3 continued the story from the first game, and Silent Hill 4 continued the tradition by being something of a continuation of Silent Hill 2. The cult keeps popping up along with other aspects of the town history, but none of the characters make another appearance other than Harry Mason after his death. Yes, I know Heather is part of Alessa, but you don't literally see Alessa running around, even in flashbacks. Or Dahlia, or Dr. Kaufman, and of course Walter Sullivan only appears in text form in Silent Hill 2, and while James is mentioned indirectly in Silent Hill 4, we don't see him at all, no pictures on Frank's wall or anything. And the first 4 games never ever recycled monster designs, with only one exception. The Mandarins in Silent Hill 2 basically showed up again in Silent Hill 3 as the Closers. Since you never really saw the Mandarins, since they were always underground beneath chain link, I think that one is forgivable. The only recurring monsters in the first 4 games were dogs and nurses, and the designs were different enough that it didn't feel repetitive. In fact, I kinda liked having a couple of vague similarities like that between games. It kinda helps to tie the series together. Now, I am not someone who is obsessed with Japan, so don't get the wrong idea, but in my opinion, when they took the series away from Team Silent and had the Western developers take over, it changed, and generally not for the better. All of a sudden, Pyramid Head and almost the exact nurses from Silent Hill 2 had come back, along with monsters that looked a lot like the lying figures from Silent Hill 2. What it seems happened is that the developers, or maybe even Konami through executive meddling, decided that the best way to make successful Silent Hill games was to take previous games that are considered the best by most fans, that'd be the first 2, and basically copy them. Or it could be that these new developers were such big fans of the old games that they wanted to have fun with doing their own take on Pyramid Head or whatever, and ended up getting carried away with it. Now, it's not that I don't think an American or European company is capable of making a good Silent Hill game. I mean, a really big chunk of the material that influenced Silent Hill comes from America, after all, like Stephen King, David Lynch, and Jacob's Ladder. And anyone who has watched my Let's Play of Shattered Memories knows that I actually love that game. Maybe Climax needed to get playing with Pyramid Head out of their systems before they were able to make something unique and awesome. Speaking of Pyramid Head, I've had people try to defend how he keeps showing up in later games. Some people have told me that they just like Pyramid Head as the role of an executioner and don't mind seeing him in later games. To that I say to each their own. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. But I once had someone compare a Silent Hill game without Pyramid Head to a Resident Evil game without zombies. On that sort of argument, I gotta call bullshit. For one thing, there's no real need to have Pyramid Head showing up in more than one game. As I've said before, I felt that Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 4 were pretty creative with taking the general concept and doing something different with it, Valtiel and Walter Sullivan respectively. Not to mention that the first game was amazing on its own without any sort of Pyramid Head-like character. I don't care how much the movie wanted to retcon that. A better analogy would be if, starting somewhere around Resident Evil 3, they brought back the Tyrant and proceeded to have him show up in every single game with a role that could have easily been given to some new monster. But I digress. For better or for worse, the games definitely have a different feel now. What it comes down to is that I find the monster designs rather disappointing in those first two games. Now, not all the monsters are copies of those from other games. And I'm not necessarily saying that it completely ruins these games either. It's just something that rubs me the wrong way. Paying homage to Silent Hill 2 isn't necessarily a bad idea, but there are better ways they could have done it. It just feels to me like they were trying too hard and kind of missed the point. Another change to the franchise that came with the changing of the guard is the opportunity to have better polished dialogue. Now, I don't think anyone would argue that the voice acting in the first game was pretty bad. But with Silent Hill 2 and onward, I think the voice actors did an amazing job with what they were given. We're talking about a series of games that were made with the American market in mind. They took place in America, had American characters, but the scripts were written in Japanese. They had to be translated, kind of a complicated back and forth process really, and it probably resulted in some of the dialogue coming across a little unnatural. Not only that, but the Silent Hill games that were developed in Japan involved North American actors who had been living in Japan for years and were used to speaking English in a very enunciated way as to be better understood by Japanese people, and that tends to sound a little unnatural to American ears. And there's also the fact that voice acting in video games was a relatively new thing back then. All things considered, though, I still think everyone did a great job with what they were given. Now that the games are being developed in America and Europe, the dialogue is becoming more polished, and the voice acting a little more natural sounding. Just compare Harry Mason from Silent Hill to Harry Mason from Silent Hill Shattered Memories, and tell me which dad sounds more concerned about his missing daughter.
Where's Cheryl? What have you done to her?
This doesn't make any sense. This is all wrong. Cheryl is inside, isn't she?
Why? Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this to me? My daughter is in there!
And what's kind of fun is that the games are now more likely to have recognizable voice actors. I about lost it when I realized it was Michael McConaughey doing the voice of Dr. Kaufman in Shattered Memories.
That's what you're thinking. Aren't all psychiatrists supposed to be obsessed with sex?
Pardon the cliche, but I love New York.
Captain Gordon, defender of Earth, is afraid of nothing.
You and your kind don't belong among the living.
You and the rest of your kind should go back where you belong. Back to the abyss of oblivion!
I haven't had that kind of, oh my god, it's him moment since I realized it was Michael Bell doing the voice of Raziel in Soul Reaver.
I am Raziel, firstborn of his lieutenants.
But anyway, this can be good or bad depending on how you look at it. Some people are really into that whole voice actor thing where they like to pick out who is doing what character just by listening to it. And others find that distracting and prefer no-name actors. Just ask any haters of Wendy Lee.
Oh, what the fuck?
As for me, I'm one of those people that likes to be able to pick out voice actors I know. It's sort of like a game, but it's not important or anything. As long as I feel for the characters, that's really all that matters. Now, for a long time, I considered the new Silent Hill games versus the old as... how can I put this?
If I may.
Okay.
You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could. You patented it, and packaged it, and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well...
something like that. But researching these videos did force me to go back and re-experience these games all over again. Do I still have a lot of bad stuff to say about them, or have I softened up on them a little? Watch these next 3 videos and find out. For Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill Homecoming, these are going to be more like reviews than my previous episodes, but they're also kind of retrospectives. With Shattered Memories, I'm also going to go a little more in depth and try to expand on some of what I was trying to convey during my Let's Play that maybe could have been worded better since it was unscripted. But all the following videos will contain spoilers, so if you haven't played any of these games yet and still have any intention to, I will keep using that clip until I physically wear it out, damn it.